This is Radar Father Radar Table coming at you another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 192. First movie I watched was called The Kill Room, and it just first blank glare, you're like, huh. Uma Thurman, Joe Manganiello, and Samuel L. Jackson. You're like, those are big time actors. Joe Manganiello plays like the muscle for like all the mafia people in New York. Samuel L. Jackson is, I guess, a lifer, and he's like a black guy who's close to the Jewish world, has like a Jewish bakery as his regular front. Obviously, he's in shady things, whatever it is, it's mafia stuff. And they're trying to figure out a news source, and they decide that maybe they're gonna launder like their money through an art gallery, and then she'll write him clean checks, but you have to have paintings. So Joe Manganiello's character, his long description is, I'm just gonna tell you, is he just starts painting using bags and all this other stuff because he's like a bagman, obviously, and all the other stuff. It's kind of obvious that he's the bagman and watching the movie and what he actually does. And there were some other actors in this movie, like Debbie Mazur and Maya Hawke, that I've seen before. But it's the criminal underworld in New York, and then foreign criminals, and then the art scene. And it was interesting. It definitely wasn't the worst movie I watched, and I'm not going to say it's like a 4 or 5 star movie, but it's a 2.5 to 3. It wasn't bad. It was also 90-something minutes, not too long. The only thing I got to keep telling you is stop making mafia people that are Jewish dressed like Hasidic, blackhead, or Chabad people. The most religious Jews are not committing crimes. They're not murdering, trafficking women, doing drugs, like selling drugs. They're not doing that sort of thing. So they'll be like, oh, put a black hat, and look with the little curls, which are called payas, and the black jackets and the white shirts. Like, the Jewish people that can be like mafia sort of people are like maybe Jewish people that have came from other countries and they work for those mafias and gangs, or they're not religious Jews, they're just Jews, and you just know them as Jews. I just didn't get the whole Samuel L. Jackson as the like fake Jew doing black stuff. I don't know. It was really stupid. Black guy doing fake Jewish thing with his bakery and the Yiddish words he was saying. So that was like the only critique. The Larry put a comedy. I'm going to tell you this. The movie wasn't funny. It's a drama, or it could be an action-adventure movie. It's not funny. Next movie I watched was called You Hurt My Feelings with Louis Dreyfus and Michaela Watkins. And, David Cross appears in this movie, and there's a lot of other people in this movie that I've seen before. But basically what it is Julia Dreyfus is an author who wrote like a biography about her childhood and her life with her father or whatever. And she's also a college professor. Her husband is a psychologist, like a social worker therapist, and he doesn't know if he likes his job. And I thought it was well put together and funny sometimes, and, interesting enough of a movie that's barely 93 minutes with credits. It wasn't bad. Her and Michaela Watkins are sister. Their mother's a couple, annoying mother, blah, 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 overbearing about stuff. But she finds out that her husband, who's always been honest with her, and they have a great relationship, and that's why they're like, trying to give advice to their son about his relationship with his girlfriend, that he works in a weed shop and she doesn't, blah, 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 is that she overhears her husband talking to his brother-in-law about how he hates her new fiction book, and she can't get over this thing. It's just like, you hurt my feelings, and he obviously doesn't think he's also a good psychologist too, and he doesn't really like his life. So it's interesting, his job. So it's an interesting movie about her relationship with her husband, her son, her mother, her sister, and her brother-in-law. And yeah, it was interesting. It's not the greatest movie. It wasn't the worst movie. It was pretty funny. I wouldn't say it's certified fresh, but it was pretty funny. Then I watched a clever movie, which I would consider being sci-fi and drama more than comedy, called Jules with Ben Kingsley, where an alien crash lands in his lawn. He's already like an older man going through like memory loss, dementia, whatever you want to say, and his daughter's worried about if he needs to go into a home, and his son is him and her estranged, and they got Zoe Winter, I think, playing his daughter, and they obviously have Jane Curtin playing one of the old ladies in town, and I'm not sure Harriet Sansom Harris could be the other old lady, but again, like, they report stuff to like the town. He's got his routine and his life, and then an alien pops up, and it's about his relationship with like accepting and being old, accepting his relationship with his kids, accepting the relationship he has with his neighbors. And now they're all working together to help this alien go home. And I thought it wasn't bad. It was pretty cool, pretty interesting. I liked it. I would say this should be certified fresh by Rotten Tomatoes, but I liked it. It was barely 90 minutes. It was pretty clever. And Ben Kingsley, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, I think, or a month ago when I watched these the movie with Morgan Freeman. If you're one of the greater actors of your generation, it's just like, okay, cool. Let's, continue to act until you want to stop acting. Like, you can retire if you want, but if you're really good at acting, go ahead and act. Then I watched River Wild with Adam Brody and his wife, Leighton Meester, and Taran Killam. And then there was two other women in the movie, Olivia Swan and Eve Connolly, where they're married. So it's interesting to be in a movie, where they're not married, they're not related, they're not even siblings, nothing. Apparently, in this movie, because it's, not that long, it's like an hour, 30-something minutes, Taran Killam has a business of doing, like, water rafting tours in, I don't know, somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, and Leighton Meester, the sister, wants to visit him and go on one of these tours of the, water rafting, and apparently Adam Brody went to prison, at a troubled past and freaks out, Taran Killam's and his sister. He's got all these face tattoos and body tattoos. I feel like we're extra because he didn't actually have them. He doesn't actually have them, I'm 99% sure. And it's just an adventure of, they put action adventure, it was good, of them going through the process of the rafting and all the ups and downs of what's going on in the thing, shady past coming to seeing, like, I could tell from the beginning, like, this guy has a shady past, you cannot trust him, and of course, you cannot trust him, like, Taran Killam, the grizzled beard in a drama role. It's nice. The guy from SNL, I didn't think when he was on SNL, would you tell him years later, he'd be in a gritty action adventure drama where he's trying to save people's lives and fight off a criminal, even though it's his friend. Like, it's pretty interesting. And one of the women on the tour had a British accent. And I'm thinking to myself, like, she didn't have a British accent. When I saw her on Legend of Tomorrow, she was Astra on Legend of Tomorrow from the John Constantine world. So, like, I recognized her too. And I liked it, in these type of movies, either everyone survives or not everyone survives, so you just know that's how it is. And I liked it. It was much better than I thought. It was actually more enjoyable, watchable movie to sit through the whole entire thing and just see what happened. Obviously, by showing all three on the cover, you're like, huh, maybe they all survive. I don't know. But the look that Adam Brody gives is kind of scary, Either way, I thought it was pretty good. Then I watched God's Country, and no offense to Thandie Newton, who's a big-time actress who's been in good movies and TV shows, and they give this Rod Fresh. It was stale, it was boring, it was dry. It's definitely a drama. It felt like it was longer than an hour and 42 minutes with credits. It kept dragging on and on. It was like she has a past, and she lives in, like, one of these Pacific Northwest areas, and there's people on her property, and she tells them to leave, and they don't listen, and things get worse. Blah, 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 and her past comes to blah, blah. It's just like, okay, cool. I don't condone murder of animals, burning people's houses down. Like, I just was like, you could say that this movie's good because she gives a good performance and she really committed to the role, but it was just like blah and boring and not that interesting. Then I watched Maybe I Do, because I need something short. I don't want to watch an action movie that I'm really interested in watching. So you can look on the cover here and you see famous actresses Diane Keaton and Susan Sarandon and Emma Roberts, and then famous actors Richard Gere and William H. Macy, and this Luke Bracey dude, I could not name a movie or TV show he's in or even tell you that's his name, but I recognize his face, And, the movie you think is about Emma Roberts' relationship with her boyfriend, how he's not sure if he wants to get married to her, and something funny happens at the beginning of the movie. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a bad movie. It's a clever, interesting concept for a quote-unquote rom-com, dysfunctional movie, and it's also 90-something minutes, so it's not that long, but it's not the best movie. It's kind of cringe a little bit. So the movie is, the two of them are having relationship problems where she's like, are we either going to get married soon or are we going to break up? And she can't stay there. She goes to her parents and she cries to her parents. And her parents are Richard Gere and Diane Keaton, who apparently are not close anymore in their marriage. He was out, she was out. They both came in, and then the daughter came in. And then apparently her boyfriend, Luke Bracey, goes home to his parents, where it's William H. Macy, who's playing a nice, quiet man who's had a strange relationship with his wife, Susan Sarandon, because she's like all over the place and extravagant, all this other stuff. Not getting into their personal political lives, any of these actors, if you like them or not. Point is, the plot of this movie is that when the parents are like, maybe we should meet and talk, what you find out, because we know this, and the characters don't know till they meet over for dinner. And the kids, I don't even ever find out because they kind of just disappear. Is that Susan Sarandon was having an affair with Richard Gere. So that, and they didn't know each other's spouses or that their kids were dating each other. And William H. Macy spends a nice evening with Diane Keaton. Nothing happened, but they spent a nice evening. So technically, two like a type of affairs happening. One over a course of months, one over one night, the same night that the boyfriend and girlfriend have an argument and they all find each other. So it turned into chaos between the parents more than anything else. And it's a cheesy rom-com. So they're like, no matter what, let's have the two of them get married at the end of the movie. Yeah, I think that's pretty stupid. I just thought, clever idea. The movie's about the parents and their relationships and not even the people that are getting married. So, and Emma Roberts is, you look at the cover, you're thinking maybe it's going to be about her. It's not about her. Then lastly, I've watched Kandahar, one of the longer movies I had, 2-hour movie, where I've seen a movie like this. It was the movie was it Jake Gyllenhaal? Yeah, where he got out and he kept fighting for a while to get his translator out, so he went and did it himself. I thought that was an incredible movie. And it was backed up by someone who was in the military that I'm close friends with. They thought it was realistic and good. This is him as an undercover CIA operative where he's ready to go home and they give him another mission. And then guess what happens? His cover gets blown due to journalism and intelligence and stuff. And this translator and him are stuck. And the whole movie is them trying to get out. It's not him coming back into the territory to save him. And he's done a lot of tours and a lot of missions. And of course, Gerard Butler's character always doesn't give up no matter what role it is. He'll continue to fight even if he's been shot or stabbed. And everything that's gone against him. Like, I thought it was a pretty good movie, you know. It's not as good as the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, but for a 2-hour action movie where Gerard Butler is a CIA operative and he has to get out of the country and take someone with him to make sure that they get home in time for stuff, pretty good. I'm a little confused by all the Arabic countries and all the leaders and all the terrorist groups. There was just a lot going on to be confused. If there was a white Arabic guy who's apparently his handler or something that helps him with the missions, that was a little bit confusing. But then you find out in this movie, like, they all, like, don't get along with each other. Like, there's a scene where the counselor men are meeting, and they're like, your group and your country is doing this, and it looks bad, and there's going to be all these sanctions from the UN, and then you're going to have United States troops and other troops in our country. Like, how dare you? Stop burning people's lives, cutting their necks off with, like, swords. Like, stop doing that. It looks us look bad. Some of us just want to do what we want to do, and you just look at that. They just hate each other, these Arabic countries, you know. But then guess what happens? They have the same hatred for Israel, but they hate each other. So it's interesting. It was okay. The best movie that I watched this week, I'm going to tell you this, is I think it was Jules. Clever movie with veteran actors and actresses in there about aliens, and it was pretty funny. Second best movie I'm going to think I watched was the Liam Meester, Taron Killam, Adam Brody, River Wild, because it was interesting enough and better than I thought. Kill Room was pretty good. It's just definitely not a comedy. I think Kandahar was a pretty good action movie. You Hurt My Feelings was an average comedy. I just wouldn't waste your time with God's Country unless you really are a fanatic of Newton. And maybe I do if you're really interested in watching cheesy comedies. It's not saying that these are bad movies. It's just one was pretty boring and one was cringe and a little cheesy. Thanks again for listening to another edition of Movie Review Observations number 192. From the Radar Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.